We'll continue to talk about the mean, median, and mode, but now we'll look at frequency distributions. A survey asked a group how many TVs are in their house. 18 people replied they had 1, 25 people said they have 2, 22 people have 3, 16 have 4, and then 6 have 5. We're going to use the data to find the mean, median, and mode. Because the mode is the easiest one to figure out, let's start there. So when we talk about the mode, we're looking for what happened the most often, which means we look at the frequency. Looking at the frequency, I have 18, 25, 22, 16, and 6. I can tell 25 is the biggest number. So with looking at the frequency, I say, well, what does the frequency correspond to? It corresponds to a value of 2, which means 2 is the mode. So the most frequent number of TVs for the people in this survey to have would be 2. For the median, we have to look at, well, what data point is in the middle? It's important when we're looking at this that we remember we have a lot of people we talk to, so we're not looking at the number of TVs to figure out the middle, we're looking at the frequency to determine the middle. To do that, we first need the total. So looking at the 18, 25, 22, 16, and 6, there's a total of 87 people surveyed. We want to find the middle person in the survey. So let's start by finding the position. I take 87 and divide by 2, which gives us 43.5. With an odd number of data points, when I divide by 2, I'll always get a decimal and I'm going to round up. So this says instead of 43.5, let's round up to 44, and the 44th person is the middle person in our data set. So we have to look through our data set and find the 44th person. One way we could do that is just to write it all out, to say, well, what does this mean? I had 18 people with 1 TV, 25 people with 2, 22 with 3, 16 with 4, 6 with 5. It looks like this. I wrote down all of the outcomes to say, let's look for the middle person. Remember when we're doing the median, we always order. So what we're ordering is the number of TVs these people have. When I put them in this order, I put 22 in each row just to keep it kind of easy. So it's 22, 44, 66, and then we stop at 87 because there's 87 people. Well, remember we said our middle, which is half, was 44. So counting by our 22s, this is 22, 44 is right here, which is the element 3, which says the median, the middle number when I line them all up, would be 3 TVs. We could do this a different way, and really an easier way, because I don't like having to write it out. I'm sure you don't want to either. 87 is a lot of data points to look at. So we're going to do something called a cumulative sum. What does that mean? It means we're going to add up as we go down the frequency. So when I look at the first two, I had 18 people that had 1 TV. I had 25 people had 2 TVs. 18 and 25 is 43. So I know 43 people have already given their response. So the next person, the 44th person, will be in this group. This group is 3 TVs. So the 44th person had 3 TVs, and this is a different way to find the median, and it's by just looking at the chart and finding the position of the 44th person. Next, we need to do the mean. Now, we've talked about this before. The mean says you add up all the data points and then divide by how many data points we have. We know we have 87 data points, but we need to be able to add up the number of TVs represented by all the people here. We could go back to our list to say that we have the 18 people who had 1 and then the 25 people who had 2, right? We could add up all the TVs that these people own, but that's a lot of work. Let's go back to our chart and expand it. What we want to do is get the total number of TVs owned by our 87 individuals in the survey. We have 18 people who have 1, that represents 18 TVs. 25 people have 2, there's 50 TVs. 22 people have 3, that's a total of 66 TVs. 16 people own 4, that's 64. And then we have 6 people who own 5, which is 30 TVs. So we can do it this way. It's just the outcome times the frequency, and then we multiply. Here's the chart typed in. We had our frequency times our number of TVs, which gives a total of 228 TVs, divided by the 87 participants, which means the mean is 2.62. Let's look at a summary. Looking at the TVs and the frequency that people own them, we had a mode of 2 TVs, a median of 3, and a mean of 2.62. So we have 3 different averages for our survey. Let's look at a second example. A survey asked a group how many vacations they take a year. 14 people said 0, 16 people said 1, 23 people said 2, 5 people said 3, and 2 people said 4. We're going to use the data to find the mean, median, and mode. We're going to say this was obviously before 2020 when we still took vacations. Once again, let's start with the mode. Mode says what happens most often. We looked through the frequencies. We can clearly see 23 is the highest number, but that corresponds to 2 vacations. So 2 is our mode. Let's move on to the median. Last time we talked about the median, we said the first thing we need to do is know in total how many people were surveyed. So we add up our frequencies, and it says we have a total of 60. Once we know our total, then we're looking for the position. So we're going to take our 60, and we're going to divide it by 2. This time it works out really nicely. I get 30. But when I get an even number of data points, we always need to find the middle 2 values. So this time I take the 30th, which was 60 over 2, and then I take the one right beside it, the 31st data point. So with an odd number of data points, it's going to come out to a decimal. I round up, and I only have to look at one number. When I have an even number of data points, I'm always going to use 2 numbers. So I divide by 2, I get a number, and then I add 1. These are the position of the data points, not our answer. So what I want is the 30th and the 31st data point in our set. So let's go back to our chart, and I can see if I add 14 and 16, that gives me 30. That tells me the 30th data point is a 1. Then I say, well, where would the 31st position be? And that would be in the next group, the set of 23 people who went on 2 vacations. So the 31st data point is a 2. I have a 1 and a 2. I add those together, which is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Then lastly, I want to look at the mean. So with the mean, I'm always going to expand my frequency distribution to add in one more column for the outcome times the frequency. So I look through my outcomes and my frequency. 0 times 14 is 0. 1 times 16 is 16. 2 times 23, 46. 3 times 5, 15. 4 times 2 is 8. After I get the number times the frequency, I want to add that up. So the total vacations taken by the 60 people in this survey was 85. 85 over 60 says that's an average of 1.42 vacations per year. And I don't know about you, but a vacation sounds really good right now.